Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again. And today, got another Mercenaries video for you. This one is kind of an unexpected news update that was very clearly not supposed to be going live today. However, due to just aimlessly scrolling through the Hearthstone Twitter, I happened upon a tweet that is now deleted. So it seems today they were putting out some promotional material and some information about Nagas coming to Battlegrounds in the next big patch. And it seems the Play Hearthstone account here accidentally tweeted out the wrong thing instead of their kind of link to talking about what's coming to Battlegrounds. Instead, they accidentally tweeted the some information about the next patch, patch 23.2. We do know this patch has basically been coming and is going to have a bunch of stuff for Battlegrounds, as that's usually what the point 2 update is focused on. But it's usually a bigger update and also does some additional stuff, other modes of the game. The big thing here, though, in terms of Mercenaries content, is we're finally getting something in the in-between time here while we wait for the point 4 patch with the big drop. We're getting, as you can tell probably by the title, a Zoth Mercenaries event. So this is really exciting. I've talked about, I think on the podcast once or twice, some ideas for kind of could we see an old god in Mercenaries, and given that we saw some hints about Zoth and that he is tied into the Sunken City expansion theme, I think it just makes a lot of sense for them to do a Zoth Mercenaries event. I'm honestly a little surprised we're getting it now, as I thought they would try and tie that in with or just after the mini set. I kind of figured if we were going to get an event in between, it would have to do with maybe Sir Finley or another Murloc. Try and give Murlocs that little bit of support, but maybe they're saving that for the big drop. Regardless, we now know something is coming for Mercenaries, and it should be pretty exciting. I'm really curious to see how they're going to translate Zoth's abilities into Mercenaries, because he is obviously a very iconic character, and we know some things about him, right? Like, we know that his two prior cards in Constructed both were themed around very specific things. The original Zoth was Death Rattle focused, so he was all about bringing back your minions that had died with Death Rattle. And while that was really cool, I don't know if there's a way to make a mechanical theme work like that in Mercenaries, since Death Rattle is not usually a super big part of every game. Sometimes once in a blue moon it comes up, and maybe a little bit more often now with things like Sylvanas. But I don't see there being a way to abuse or reinforce Death Rattle strategies with Zoth. Maybe there is that I'm just not thinking of, but I think it's a little bit less likely we get a design focused around that. Instead, what I think is a possibility are one of two things. One, they could design it around his last card that appeared in Standard, where that one was also about resummoning, so it would not surprise me if we get something that's all about resummoning stuff. But this one was more tribal focused, and it basically rewarded you for having different members of different tribes. That could be a really cool thing for Mercenaries. Like, I like the idea behind that a lot. Like, maybe it's too strong to be resummoning regular Mercenaries. Like, and that feels like it'd be kind of like a tier S ability, right? So I don't think it'll resummon regular Mercenaries, but maybe it can resummon summons from different tribes or something. Could be an interesting idea that they could go with it, or just not even being with tribes, just having to do with summons. Though that could be a little bit scary given the high amount of summons we're currently seeing with stuff like Kazakus. But again, I don't think resurrecting those Kazakus summons would be super powerful, because a lot of the times that's just what you're doing with Kazakus anyway, and then you have to worry about board space and whatnot. So that's a possibility. I think it's probably the more likely direction. However, there's one other direction that I think they could go with this that would be really, really cool, and that is to make basically a Mercenaries version of the Colossal mechanic. So if you haven't kept up with the new set, there's a new mechanic called Colossal, and basically it's these minions that are represented by more than one minion. And every class got one. They're legendaries. They're really interesting, and it's basically like a battle cry. Summon 2 minions or however many minions. And the thing with it that's different though is it is not a battle cry, so it doesn't trigger to battle cry relevant things. But it has been a very strong and interesting effect. And personally, one of my guesses for the mini set was the fact that we're going to get Zoth, and he's going to be a neutral Colossal. Since pretty much all the other Colossals have been class specific, it'd be cool if there would be one that could be neutral and usable by everybody. And I think it makes the most sense for Zoth because he's tied in with the themes of the expansion. We already had like all these hints towards him. We know he's around, we know he's relevant, and I don't think they're going to be too afraid to reintroduce him too soon, because it's not like they're bringing all the old gods back. They're just bringing this one in particular. But Zoth is one of my favorite old gods, right up there with Yogg. So I am super excited to see how they handle this event, what the mercenary is going to be like, and we don't have to wait that long. So this also does give us a definitive date on when we're going to be getting this patch, and it is less than a week away. It is going to be next Tuesday, which I think lined up with a lot of people's expectations for another patch. It is kind of interesting to see no mentioning of balance in terms of either standard, mercenaries, or any other mode, but it is possible that that is kind of under the improvements section. We'll have to wait and see on that if they're making any more changes to things like Trigor, buffing some more underutilized units like they did last patch. I hope they do, though. I'm really hoping that they give us some kind of balance, even if it's just something as simple as adjusting Trigor, as one simple change like that could go a long way to making the meta more enjoyable, and just give us that little bit of a push we need to help get through the next couple weeks waiting for this big drop that is hopefully going to shake up the meta and reinvigorate some interest in the game. Because I know how I've felt, and I know how a lot of other members of the community have felt, in that it feels like we're in this kind of waiting period where nothing's really going on with the game, and coming from a monthly release cycle now to a more spread out one has definitely had some growing pains along with it. So definitely excited to get this news. Wanted to get it out real quick just so everyone is aware of it, get your kind of theory crafting of what this might be in. If you have some ideas about how they could do a Zoth mercenary, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed it, do remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.